I do not recommend marriage and motherhood to any single childless woman at this point in time, and I say that as a happily married mother of 2 children.
Hey people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here, and welcome to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So today's video, we want to know why happily married content creators are creating content for women to decenter men. And this is kind of like a thing, and I've gotten that comment a lot. And you guys know my content is about women decentering. Most part of my content is about women decentering men and centering themselves. But also, there's always this conversation when I talk about how I've been married for 11 years, been with my husband for 21 years. There's always this conversation like, oh, so you are married and you don't want other women to be married. You're telling other women to decenter men to center themselves while you are in happily marriage. And it's not just me. We have a whole lot of other content creators, married content creators that are sharing their thoughts and having this hard conversation, letting women know that there is no prize in being married, as society has made it seem like, oh, when you get married, it's a prize or it's an achievement and all that. And we are coming to tell you guys that no, don't do it. And this has struck a conversation of why should you even listen to this? Why you are talking about men and you are married? Da 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 da. I have a lot to say about this, which I'm going to share. But this has also led other creators to share why they create this content, why they keep on spreading this good news, telling women to center themselves, letting women to know exactly what to expect in marriage, letting women to know what it really is, because society does not paint the full picture. Okay, how society aim is to actually keep women locked down in a certain way where women can be manipulated, controlled, and used, and how marriage does not serve us as women. But anyway, guys, let's go hear these women talk about why happily married women are here on the internet telling other women not to marry, to decenter men and center themselves. Anyway, guys, let's go check out this video and then we'll come back and talk more.
People love to try and flex on me with this question as a married 4B adjacent content creator, aka somebody who talks a lot of shit about men on the internet. People love to ask me this question. Well, why are you married then? I'll never get tired of answering it. This is why I make the kind of content that I do. So listen up really carefully. It's gonna seem obvious. I'm married because it benefits me. It benefits me. There's something in it for me. Another reason I'm married is because I know what a good man should look and feel and act like. Because I had a really good example of this in my dad. Men who don't treat me right, or men who consider themselves a prize, are automatically filtered out because they give me the ick. My dad used to bring a lot to the table, to our family. He was not only a financial provider, he was also very present in our home, in my life. He never treated me differently as a girl. He never trivialized my feelings, problems, issues, things like that. I'm not used to men doing that. I can genuinely tell you guys, I have been in a happy, productive, loving marriage for 13 years now. And no, we have not had any rough patches. No, there's no infidelity in our past. No point at which we were like, oh, we're not gonna make it. My marriage has not been hard. We've not had to rebuild our trust from scratch. I wouldn't do any of those things. I would just leave. So that's why I'm married. Because my husband's not a useless piece of shit who thinks that he's the prize and thinks that I am in every way lesser and dumber and smaller than him. In fact, he thinks quite the opposite. Like, I've always had pretty high self-esteem, but I can tell you that since being married to my husband, my self-esteem is like through the roof, right? The reason I'm doing this is because he hyped me up every single day when I had 0 followers. He hyped me up when this was a fashion page. He hypes me up even more now that this is a page for women. I'm married to him because he's my biggest cheerleader. I am the recipient of so much love and support and affection in my marriage. This is why I can speak to it, right? This is why I can tell y'all who not to marry, because honestly, my husband loving me like this should be the minimum. Like, it should be the entry, the price of entry into a woman's life. Oh, and when I describe the way that he loves and supports and prioritizes me, I understand that it's very hard to believe because most people have rightfully come to see marriage as a trap for women. Trust me that I would not be sitting here talking all this shit about men while being myself miserable in my marriage. If there's ever a day in my marriage that I'm even close to that, that's when I would leave, because it's exactly what I don't want people to do. I do not want people to stay in their miserable, sad, debilitating marriages. I'm married because my marriage is not like most marriages. We don't think that marriage is hard, because we don't think that supporting or loving each other is hard or something we have to force ourselves to do. I'm with a man who, instead of externalizing his problems onto me or our marriage, he understands that what it really takes is inner work. The hardest parts of marriage are the parts where you have to do inner work. Therefore, it's not about the marriage at all. Marriage should never be hard. Sometimes doing your own inner work is hard, but marriage should never be hard. If marriage is hard, that means you are projecting things onto it that don't belong. The state of your marriage only speaks to where you two are at as individuals. And if the two of you are always growing and learning, and you sort of stay at the top of your growth potential all the time, then your marriage is not going to be hard. Because everything that makes a marriage hard is what people bring into it, is their baggage, is their preconceived notions, their preconceived ideas. What a lot of men bring into marriage is that they are the prize, that they are to be served, that they are to be listened to, they are to be respected, they are to be the main character, they are to decide what happens, they always have the option of leaving, they always have, or not participating in their responsibilities, checking out entirely. That's the kind of baggage that men bring into marriage. And that's the kind of shit that I would not be willing to put up with. And that's not to say that my husband is like so purely an exception that he came into the marriage with none of these preconceived notions. But what it is to say is that as soon as those preconceived notions like popped up on either side, instead of doubling down on that preconceived notion, we would do the inner work, make things fair and equitable in our marriage, because neither of us wants to treat the other person like shit for our own betterment or for our own benefit. To be clear, I as a woman do not view marriage as a prize to me. I understand that it is a risk that I'm taking, and I invest in that accordingly. And so does my husband. I've talked about this before, but we treat our finances in a way that reflects that. We treat our responsibilities in a marriage in a way that reflects that. That it's a risk for me, and most likely it's a benefit to him. And what also we try to do is to eliminate that. We try to eliminate the risk towards me, and at the same time, we try to eliminate the unfair benefit that a marriage would present to him as a man. Because that's not fair. Just because our world works that way, it doesn't mean it has to be that way, right? For example, there's never been any pressure for me to have kids unless I fully want to. It would have to be 100% my choice without any convincing from him. And the reason for that is because he puts himself in my shoes. And he has told me before, I would never do that. Like me, if I were a woman, I would never do that for a man. I would only do it if I wanted to do it because of the risks involved, because it is such a dangerous, complicated experience. I would never do it if I were in your shoes. And so I would never, ever, ever expect you to do it for me unless it was something that you personally wanted 100%. He doesn't expect me to take on risk for him. The fact that, yes, because he's a man, he has consistently been able to earn more than me. But at the same time, he does not expect me to treat his job as though it is a priority. Even though he is technically the breadwinner, he has gone out of his way to make sure he treats my job as if we are making the same amount of money. I don't have to do more chores than him because I earn less. Because it has nothing to do with my value or worth as a human being, right? So yeah, I just think it's funny when people like assume that I'm married like everybody else is married. No, the reason I talk so much shit about men is because I know what it's like to be treated well in a marriage. I know what it's like for marriage to actually benefit me as a person. I'm not in the kind of marriage where I have to sacrifice everything and then some and erase myself, dim my own light, and make myself smaller. Clearly, I don't do that. I don't exist to serve my husband. I don't exist to bring his children into the world. I don't exist for any of that. I'm married because it's of benefit to me, because life should be easier with two people and not harder. You know, because as a woman, life should be easier when you bring another person into it. It shouldn't get more difficult. And I understand that, you know, because that's how my dad was, right? Things got easier for my mom and I when my dad came into our life. Not just because it was an extra paycheck, but because he literally contributed in every way to the household. And so that's the example I have in my mind, and anything less than that just doesn't mean shit to me. And I wouldn't accept it. I hope this helps. Stay safe out there, y'all. Godspeed. I love you so much.
I do not recommend marriage and motherhood to any single childless woman at this point in time, and I say that as a happily married mother of 2 children. It is not safe for women in this country, nay, this world, to be in relationships with men and to have children. There are politicians who are actively trying kill women by taking away their access to medically necessary care. They are letting women their watch, and they don't care. Then they want to take away no-fault divorce. They want to keep you in your unhappy, unsafe marriages, forcing you to have more babies while they simultaneously take away more rights. They don't have a workforce that is set up to benefit you. They don't have paid leave that is set up to benefit you. Every system is actively working against women and mothers in this country. It is not beneficial for them. It is not safe for them. Women are dying because they are unable to receive medically necessary care, because we have people in charge who don't know what they're talking about, who want to make Project 2025 a reality. They want to keep you in the home, they want to keep you uneducated, and they want to keep you making babies. And that's not safe for women. I cannot, in good conscience, sit here and tell a woman that she should get married to a man and have children. I won't do it. Go to school, get your degree, make your money, travel the world, get a solid group of friends, because this country isn't set up for women. It's going to take a long time for the tide to turn to a point where they actually hear us and they listen to us, but it's not right now. The reward does not outweigh the risk. The odds aren't in your favor and the systems are actively stacked against you. Most married women are not happily married. Most married women are trapped. Most married women would not recommend it either. Most married women are just too afraid to outright say that. I'm not. This comment came from a video where I'm telling women, I don't recommend marriage and motherhood, and I say that as a happily married woman and a mother of 2 children. And what this commenter and so many men in this comment section don't understand is that I'm saying this with all of the privilege that I have, with an amazing, supportive, participative husband that I have, the support that I have of my own family to help me with our children. I'm saying that with all of that it's still so hard. That it's still so hard when you have a well-paying job, a supportive husband, a support system to help you with your children. It's still so hard. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that even with all of the things that are supposed to make it good and make it easier and make it better, I still can't recommend it, because even still, even after my experience, which has been a fairly decent one, I cannot recommend it because there are still obstacles and hurdles and brick walls set up to make it extensively harder for women. That's what I'm saying. That's why you listen to the happily married people when they're telling women, don't get married and don't have children, because it's still that hard. This comment came from a video where I'm telling women, I don't recommend marriage and motherhood, and I say that as a happily married woman.
Been such a big talking point in the manosphere recently. Well, they're like, oh my God, well, Mel Hamlet and Paige and this one and that one, they're all still married, so they're telling you not to do it, but they did it. 2 things. These women are the exceptions to the rule, and they're having the kind of marriages men are railing against. These women who are like saying, okay, I'm in equitable marriage. My partner's done his work unpacking his stuff. He is so great to me in this, and this ways. And I still don't recommend marriage. Men are trying to find something, because it's no longer a flex to say, I have a man. That used to be the big thing. Don't listen to those women who are doing the talking, because they're going to die single and alone. They're going to be cat women. And now that these women are proved to be in relationships, happily married, but they're still saying to other women, this is not it. Like, yes, it's the exception. I enjoy it. It's nice. But marriage as a whole, marriage as a societal thing, has so many flaws, and most women aren't going to get this outcome. Plus, even within this outcome, it's still sacrifice. It's still labor. It's still work. It's still not as pleasurable as living alone. This is the information that the men do not want us to have, because the men who are upset they're losing their labor supply, they're not having an equitable marriage. They are not being equal partners. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so threatened by women telling other women not to participate. They'd be like, well, I'm not affected by that. A good man can always find a partner. They're at a premium. Men who have a lot to offer aren't a bit more worried about men being decentered or whatever, because they know they can compensate. But the men who depend on thankless labor, the men who depend on an unequal division of that labor, the men who are looking for a woman to just be their mommy wife, / bang maid, are shaking in their boots, because where else are they going to get this kind of deal? For a one-time payment of a few $100s for a ring, getting free labor worth hundreds of thousands each year for the rest of your life? A house elf and secretary to do whatever you need, plus an S worker, a free incubator for your kids. I mean, actually, the incubator is paying for the privilege. Where else can you get that kind of deal? They're afraid it's slipping through their fingers. So this is the thing you're going to see more and more of. Ad hominem attacks on the kind women who are married who are doing this work. The men are going to try to convince you that they're trying to keep something from you. They want to be the only ones who are married, and that's why they're telling you not to do it, or that they're lying, that their marriages are really miserable and unhappy. Because men are meant to lead, men are the head. So you're telling me I can participate in an unequal marriage where a man is the head and I get overworked and I'm not appreciated and I'm unhappy, or I can be in an equal marriage where I'm unhappy, according to these men. Or I can do what the women say and just don't get married. Sounds like an easy choice to me. The men have painted themselves into a corner because the one thing they have never promised is good behavior from a husband. Having the husband is supposed to be your compensation. You're supposed to be satisfied just to be married because you're saved from loneliness. But as more and more women live alone for the first time, because societally, most women were stepping from like college or high school straight into being married. This is the first generation of women to live alone long term. As we see how wonderful it is and how free we are, nobody is going to voluntarily step back into an institution that as a whole most men have promised you you are not going to find joy in. You're supposed to find compensation and fulfillment in your children, which we also know to be a lie. There is love, but there's nothing fulfilling about a lot of tiny menial tasks that must be done over and over each day. Not to mention the physical toll labor and such takes on your body that nobody talks about, or the fact that it can cost you your life, particularly if you are a black woman. Maternal mortality rates are off the charts. But this man didn't even use the right "your," so he's nobody you should be listening to. It's kind of amusing to see how threatened the men are by women taking control of their own future. We aren't going back. That's it. Like and follow for more.
Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this amazing conversation down in the comment section. But as always, please go ahead and share your thoughts and be very respectful. You're on the channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we'll do it in a respectful way. So go ahead, feel free and share your thoughts. I really want to know what you think about this. Well, yeah, I'm one of those women, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm one of those women. And a lot of people come and like, oh, well, you've married for 11 years, and yet you're telling other women not to get married. Oh, you've tried to be pregnant multiple times. You wanted a child at a particular point in your life, and now you're telling women not to have kids. And I always say, like, if I always tell people, like, in terms of society standard, my marriage is like happily ever after. But if I am still telling you that don't do it, that's something for you to think about. And if I can go back 11 years from now and knowing what I know now about life, about marriage, about myself, I will not do it again. That should say a lot. And I'm not saying that there are no good men out there and all that, but the entire hype that society has put on marriage and having children is different from the reality. And a lot of women, they go in there blinded, they get in there and find out that all the things that all the all the advertisement and all the perks they told you that comes with being married, it's all a lie. It's the biggest scam that was ever sold to women. And if you want to have a genuinely happy marriage or a genuine happy being married, you have to do it the non-conventional way. You have to do it the non-societal way, because the way marriage is structured in society, in the world today, it does not benefit women and women. And I'm saying it like, my marriage is not your typical marriage. Some of my friends, they call me the married single woman, because I have my own identity. I live my life, like I live my life on my own terms and my condition. And this take a whole lot of work. People will say, like the other sister saying that, oh, marriage, mine took a lot of work. It took me to get to this place, because there was a time where I was still in that society mindset of what marriage is, or how, what, and I was burning myself out. I didn't know who I am. I didn't know what I am. I didn't know what I want from life. And I was just burning myself. And I've said this story multiple times here on this channel. I started doing the work a couple of years ago. And by the time I started going to therapy and I started finding myself, who I am, what I am, it was a different shift, and it was a tough time in my marriage, because we needed to sit down and restructure what we consider marriage, who I am. I became a different person. I changed. And that's one thing they don't prepare for. People grow, people change. I grew to a different person. I changed, and it took a whole lot of work. And when women like myself that are in marriage, that has experienced marriage, that has been it, especially the one society would consider happy marriage, the pedestal marriage, and yet we are still telling you that don't do it, it's not, it doesn't make sense, it's not a price and all that. and yet you see men come to say, oh, they are trying to tell you not to get married right there, I'm married right there. Are you ready to put in the work? Because at this point in time, I'm not telling you not to marry, but I'm telling you that, are you ready? Are you ready? Because I'm going to tell you what you're going to expect in the marriage, and I need you to be physically and mentally prepared, because a lot of women, if they know what's it's in the marriage, what it is, what marriage actually is, they will not do it, because whether you like it or not, it does not benefit you as a woman to be married. I'm saying it with my full chest, and I've said it multiple times. I'm one of those people that I don't believe in the institution of marriage. I don't think the institution of marriage is for women. The institution of marriage is to serve men, and that's why they uphold that institution. And I'm telling you, young women, single women, young girls, if you're there, marriage does not benefit. And some people say, oh, maybe it's just your own marriage, maybe it's that. No, no. I'm 40 years old, and that means that most of my friends, because I'm from Nigeria, okay, most of my friends are married with children. I know that. No. Mm-mm. Even having a child is a scam. And that's something we talk about here a lot on this channel. I always tell women, do it because you want to do it. Like, it's for me, not because it's time. My biological clock is going. Do it because that is what you genuinely want. Because there are some of us that genuinely want kids. There are some of us that don't even want kids. See, I am a epitome example of it, like having kids and not having kids. Like my friends, my sister, they all have kids, and I could see, like, I'm a mother, like I'm a first daughter, so I raised children too. Okay, okay, I'm a mom. Like the last girl of my house, my last sister is considered my daughter because I practically raised her. She has her own child too now, and I always say, like, I've done the work, I know what it feels to having children, and I don't want that type of life. I was even talking to one of my in-laws a couple of days ago, and she was like, oh, maybe you should try out. I was like, I'm not having kids. I love my life without kids, and I love it. And she was like, do you know? I said, she was trying to tell me that, do I know I have other options to look into? I was like, I don't want, honestly, because I genuinely happy. And you see people here come on this channel and say, oh, it's because you've lost so many pregnancies, you've had miscarriage. Because I shared my story here before, talking about I've had multiple miscarriages, stillbirth and all that, lost a lot of pregnancy. And that was the me that was still in the system. I didn't know who I am, what I really want. But now really being in the journey and be very self-aware and very conscious and intentional with my life. Kids, as much as there's a tiny bit of 1% that still want kids, majority, like 98%, I don't want kids, and I really genuinely love my life the way it is, and I'm genuinely happy. But a lot of people can phantom me that a woman can choose not to get married, choose not to have kids, and be happy. A lot of people can phantom a woman that is married and choose not to have kids and be happy, because they always say that it is an achievement, it is a reward, it is a thing. So yeah, I love this conversation a lot, and this is why I love the internet, and this is why I do what I do, because I love the fact that as women we're sharing our story and other women are listening. Because most of the time society will tell you, don't listen to single women, they don't know what they're saying, they don't have a husband. Then they will tell you, oh, don't listen to single mothers or divorced women, they could not stay in a husband's house. This is those of us that are in a husband's house telling you, don't do it. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this amazing conversation down in the comment section. But as always, please keep it respectful. Here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we'll do it in a respectful way. So go ahead, feel free and share your thought. Share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go on and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see. And that will be you supporting this channel and this girl here. So go on and do that. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.